Hello and welcome back to Gardening and Allotment Tips. It's been a while since we've done one of these podcasts, but thank you for all the people that have been subscribing to this new podcast channel. It's great to see. And if you don't know already, this is Gardening with Ben, who hosts it. I've got my own other podcast channel called Gardening with Ben on all platforms, so make sure you have a search for that, obviously after you've listened to this one. And that's my main podcast channel, where there's over 150 episodes on there for you to listen to, so make sure you enjoy all them. So what are we talking about today? Today's topic is going to be about water, saving water on the allotment, and the best things that you can do really to save water. And it's obviously quite a vital thing, having water on the allotment. And most often than not, whenever I'm talking about getting an allotment to people, it's always to make sure that there is a water point on site, because however much water you save, you never have enough for the plot, and unless you really do ration it really well. But thinking back to a couple of years ago, we had literally nearly had a drought because it was that dry, and we didn't get rain for ages, and people were struggling. They definitely were. All online, people were posting saying that they were having to take water bottles in the back of the car and stuff like that to take to the allotment to water the plants, because they'd just not saved enough water. But the thing is as well is that plants do prefer rainwater to tap water, especially it seems to have better nutrients in the rainwater than it does in the tap water. So if you can save water, by all means do. And thankfully, when we got our allotment site, it's a council run site, and the council dropped off a load of old wheelie bins that were damaged. They weren't cracked, they were just damaged, so they couldn't be used for wheelie bins. And they dropped them all off, and people save water in them. So obviously they store a hell of a lot of water, but it seems a lot, but they soon do go down, because once you start watering all your plants, obviously they will go down quite fast. And they're easy to fill up because the rainwater just goes straight into them, and they do fill pretty fast with rain over the winter, and you'll probably fill one up over the winter time. And the other advice is, if you've got sheds, greenhouses, connect them up to water butts, etc. Try and save as much water as possible through doing that. And it all goes down to management of the water as well, because when you're watering your plants, you don't want to be watering all the soil. You just want to be watering next to the plant, because if you water all over the soil, you're going to get weeds popping up everywhere. And if you leave the areas around the plants dry, the weeds won't grow because they won't have the water to help them grow. So it's all about management of the water as well. And especially if you are using a hose pipe to water your plants, don't water all the soil, just water around the plants, because you're just creating a bigger job for yourself down on the plot, and you don't want to be doing that. And my advice is, once a week, go around and hoe all around your plants with a hoe. I like to give that tip, but I don't often manage to do it myself, which I should really do. I should really go around all my beds once a week and keep them hoed, keep them weed free, and keep those roots from growing in the beds, because keeping it turned over will stop the weeds from taking a root and establishing and growing, which you don't want to do. So it's all about making the job easier for yourself as well. And one thing I was just talking about in my other podcast is that in my polytunnel over summer, I set up a drip irrigation for my tomato plants to save me having to keep going down and watering them all the time. I've got 4 big water butts, and they've all got pipes leading from them, and they lead all into the tomato pots. and they will just send a little drip every few minutes out of the pipe and just keep dripping all the time, and they keep the tomatoes damp and wet, and it's just enough water to keep them to growing, because you don't need to keep giving them a bucket full every day. If you just keep letting them have a single drip of water every so often, it will keep them watered and keep them topped up. Often you see people with water bottles in the plants, just with a little drip going now and then, and they just fill up that water bottle once it's empty and put it back in, and it'll just keep dripping every so often and keeping that soil damp and keeping them tomatoes growing. Really, it saves you the job of having to keep going down and watering them, because when it does get to summer, sometimes you may have to water your tomatoes once a day, or even sometimes twice a day, depending on how hot it's been, because tomatoes drink a hell of a lot of water, and the bigger they get, the more they drink. Hence why you have to keep them watered on a regular day basis. And if you get out of that pattern of watering, your tomatoes will start to split, because it doesn't like uneven watering tomatoes. You have to keep constant with how you water the tomato plants, and that's what can cause the splitting to cause on the tomatoes themselves. So it's all about management again, and obviously if you've got this drip irrigation set up, you can have the downpipes from your shed or your greenhouse leading into these water butts, so it's keeping it filled up all the time, so it's keeping these tomatoes watered constantly, which is what you want. So I'm going to be looking at methods in ways of improving my watering on the allotment and trying to keep things watered throughout the summer. So I'll have to keep track of that and see how well we get on with doing it. So I will be sharing obviously all this on my Instagram with you all, Gardening with Ben, if you're not following me already. I do like to share everything that I'm getting up to, even quite a lot of selfies. So make sure you do follow Gardening with Ben on Instagram, and you'll see what I'm getting up to. So yeah, even on the polytunnels you can buy kits now what stick onto the side of the polytunnel, and they catch the water as it runs off the polytunnel, and it goes down and catches it in a water butt as well. So there is ways to catch as much water as possible down on your allotment site. So try and do as much as you possible, and you will have fantastic produce, because trust me, the plants do prefer the rainwater. So please do try and save as much rainwater as possible rather than using the tap water if needed. So yeah, that has been your podcast today, talking about rainwater and water saving tips. So I hope you've enjoyed it. Remember to do click that subscribe button, because the more people that subscribe, the better. And keep sharing it on your Instagram stories with other people as well. So until next time, remember, keep smiling, keep gardening, and keep listening to Gardening with Ben's podcasts.